Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I will walk you through another string question called first unique character in a string. The question goes like this: given a string S, return the first non-repeating character in it and return its index. If it does not exist, return -1. For example, if we consider this string here, the string has L, E, E twice, T once, C one zero, O once, T once, and E once. Essentially, the first unique character if we traverse this string is L. So we return its index, which is at the index 0, saying since strings are zeroth based when it comes to indexes or indices. Likewise, if we consider example 2, if we take this example, it has uh, L twice, E thrice, and the first unique character in this string is V, which sits on the index 2, so we return that index. And if we go to the third example, we are having two A's and two B's. We don't have unique letter or alphabet essentially, so we return -1. And also, we need to consider these constraints that at a given point in time, the string length should be between this range 1 to 10 power 5, and also S, that is string, consists of only lowercase English letters. Before we dive into the solution, we brainstorm how we will approach the solution. So how we will do is we will declare a hash map, and also we run a for loop for all the elements or the characters which exist in the string. For example, if the given word was or the given string was Microsoft, so we iterate over all the strings, and while we're doing the iteration over all the letters of this specific string, we check whether that specific letter which we are on exists already in the map. If it exists, we get that character, and we for that character will become essentially the key, and that for the key, the value will become -1. So for every repetitive character, the value will become -1. This will be a lot clearer once I write the code. So let's declare a hash map here. Hash map of character and string, right? Character and integer. Let us call it as map. New hash map character comma integer. So why we are taking a hash map of character and integer? Because for every character, this M or I or C or whatever the character is, we will have the value as integer. That is its current index. So let's declare a for loop for int I equals to 0, I less than s dot length. In parentheses, because since we are dealing with strings, if it was arrays, it would be just like this, no parentheses, I plus plus. And with every iteration, we check whether map dot contains key the current character we are on, right? So one parenthesis, two, three, right? And if it contains the key, we just for that specific key we put the value as -1. So let's start here at I comma -1, and if that key doesn't exist in the map, we put that in the map dot put let's start here at I comma its index. So what we're doing is we are iterating over this string of characters. If let's say if the I was 0, when the I was 0, that will be we will get that specific character on that index. So s dot caret I, so s is nothing but this string, so character of 0 this is 0 at the 0th index, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So M sits on 0, I sits on 1, C sits on 2, and likewise it goes till 8. So with when it comes to the first iteration, we do map dot contains key s dot caret 0, that is M, right? So M, whether M exists inside the map. Since it is first iteration, nothing exists inside the map. So what we do is we just take that specific character, that is M, and we give its value as 0 and put it inside the map. So now at the first iteration we have M and the value is 0. And the second iteration we have value I and the value key I and the value will be 1. In the third, the key will be C, the value will be 2, 4, 3, R, 3. And for the fifth iteration we have O as the key and the value will be 4, its index. And for the fifth, for the sixth, we have S and its index is 5. And for the seventh, it checks if map dot contains key. So contains key here is O, right? We are checking for this. For this, we check whether the map already has O. And if you remember, we already had O in the fifth iteration. So what it does is it will call O and replaces the value of O with -1. So O will not have 4, instead it will have -1. So this is the duplicate value we are having. Uh, for every duplicate value, we just do -1. If it exists inside the map, we check whether it exists inside the map, and if it does, we just negate that value, and we trade all over for all the characters in that string. Once we are done with the iteration, we run another for loop on the key set, right? So char c map dot key set, right? Before we run the for loop, what we do is we declare a minimum value, right? Int min equals to the minimum value. Let's have the minimum value as the highest integer value, right? Integer dot max slash value. So essentially, min is now allocated with the highest integer value a variable can have, which is of type int. So this is 32-bit integer. So we iterate over the key set. The key set is essentially this microsfot. So we iterate over all the key set and we check whether for each key the value is less than -1. So map.get c is greater than -1. Sorry, the greater than -1, and map.get c is less than min, right? So what we are to checking here is if for given specific key in this iteration for m, whether the value of that key is greater than -1, that is it is 0 or and it should be less than the minimum. Current minimum is the highest integer value. If that is the case, we update the minimum value, right? Minimum equals to map.get c. And if it doesn't, then we just return okay, return after the for loop, return, and we check whether min is integer dot max value, ANUE. If that is the case, then return -1, or else we return min. So what we're doing essentially here is we are just looping over this key set and we're checking the value of that specific key we are on. And if the value is if the value is greater than -1, which it is in this case, we assign and we check one is that first is that check, and also we check whether the value is less than the maximum value an integer value can have. If that is the case, we update the value. So for m, so we update the minimum, right? So the minimum would be now for the first iteration, minimum will be map dot get c. So map dot get m, the value will be 0. So current minimum will be 0, and then we loop over for every key, right? So since we are looping over the key set, we loop over the second key. For second key, the value is 1. Since in the first iteration, our minimum was 0, we check whether the 0 here is less than min. So in the first iteration, we are checking whether the 0 is less than this, which it is. So we updated that to 0. In the second iteration, it was I, the key was I. For the key I, the value was 1. We check whether the value of I is less than min, which is 0, which is not. So because the value is 1. And if we go over and over for C, for R, if you see, the value is always greater than 0. So we don't update. So the value which persists in the min would be 0. At the last, we check. If you see the question, it says return, if it does not exist, return -1. So if there are no duplicates, we return -1. If there are any duplicates, we return that value or the index. So let's submit this and see the code, run this. There you go. So our answer is 0. The expected answer was 0. Let's submit this. Got accepted. Click this more details tab. Here, there you go. We are 58.60% better than Java submission when it comes to runtime complexity, since we are going and looping over all the key values or all the letters inside a string. So we are doing the complexity very big O of n when it comes to runtime complexity. And for space, we are better than 36.17% of Java submission. And the space complexity in our case is constant, so we're not declaring any extra memory to check any extra things. So it will be constant. So that is it. If you have any questions, please comment down in the comment section. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and please do subscribe. Thank you. See you in the next video.